welcome back, Emma Willmann.
Oh, Emma. You're Emma.
Here we go. Let's get crazy.
Oh, Emma.
Today I'm talking to my friend, comedian, actress, graduate of the Tisch School at NYU, born and raised in Tampa, Florida, youngest of 3 daughters, has an album out called Hebrew School Dropout, and recently filmed an hour special with Comedy Dynamics as part of the Tribeca Drive-In series, filmed at the Rose Bowl. My buddy, Ester Steinberg.
Hey!
Ester Steinberg, Garden Shorts.
Yeah, or Ester Steinberg.
What do you prefer?
My legal name, like my social security card, is that my middle name is Steinberg and my last name is Garden Sports.
There we go. Esther Steinberg, Garden Shorts. You don't like it?
It's a mouthful.
It is a mouthful. Yeah, you did make your name more Jewish, but...
It's 106 points on the Scrabble board, and that's what we were all going for.
I think one of my biggest regrets from entertainment work, in retrospect, and I felt it at the time, is not going to my friend Amber Dawson's wedding and not going to your wedding from other entertainment stuff that I had.
What did you do instead?
For yours, yours was more legit than the Amber one. Yours was I got this show, a reality show in Maine about moose poop. So I was in so I was going to go from Vegas to your wedding, and then we were filming that, so I had to go from Vegas to Maine. For my friend Amber, that was a TV one that I had to do. Amber was like, I was headlining a club called Catch a Rising Star at a hotel in Princeton, New Jersey, and I hadn't just started headlining, and I didn't know I could have. There was 14 people at it. That I really should, but both of them, I'm like,
right, I get it. You should have gone to Amber's wedding. I get it.
No, that's it was that.
You're basically like, the moose poop was essential to my life, and thank God.
Oh, the moose poop. This moose poop one was a bigger thing, but that I'm glad I did now. But just looking back at entertainment stuff, these are the type of things that you can't do when something else is like interfering in your life. So
it is hard to be famous. I agree.
That's not right. It was a reality show about moose poop, and it didn't do well. Shockingly.
How did it not do well? Corona times, holy smokes, roof. Moose poop came out in Corona.
So it was purely the content that was not good.
Okay, got it.
But that's all to say, that was really a bummer, and I'm sorry I couldn't be there.
Yeah, me too. We missed you.
How was the wedding?
How was the wedding? It was really long. It was really good. I got pregnant.
Wait, were you pregnant at the wedding, or?
The day before my wedding, I got pregnant.
Wow. Did you know?
It was the day before. No, I didn't know.
So it wasn't like he came and you're like, this is it.
No. We were just like, since we're going to get married, let's not pull out. Oh. And it turns out sex does work.
Yeah, you heard it here first.
I thought that sex was not going to work. I honestly feel like I hear more, it didn't work, we have to go to the doctor, than I hear we had a baby.
Absolutely. Totally. The 3 people I know that are trying to get pregnant are all like going to fertility. You're lucky you didn't have to do that though.
I know, but it feels like he's crying right now.
He's so cute.
Thank you.
Yeah,
it's either you have to spend a lot of money and time going to fertility, or you're like, oh, let's not pull out, and then it's always either an accident or
right.
Expensive.
when you look back at stuff now, do you still relate to everything that you were doing before you had your baby, or do you feel like different?
I feel different, but my question is it because of quarantine, or is it because I have a baby? Because I've never had a baby in non-coronavirus pandemic.
So fucking true.
So
that's true.
Had coronavirus pandemic child, so I'm like,
right.
Oh, I guess this is how child care. Oh, I guess you just like go and get a nose swab and go to the hospital and not have any family member. Like that's how I did it.
Right.
But I don't know, man. And also, yeah, I miss my old self for sure, because I don't want to put that on the kid. Like he didn't do anything wrong, but it wasn't his fault.
Right.
Like my life is a dumpster fire. But
that's crazy. My life's a dumpster fire too. I'm miserable. I was crying this morning.
I was going to be a dumpster fire with or without the kid. Now I have something to blame it on. Fuck my life. Whether I have a kid or not, it's going to, like, it just, the world sucks. And if you're in entertainment, like, nothing's ever good enough. But I really like him. And I changed diapers. I wiped this teeny tiny penis, and it was just recently circumcised. So there's like, just, you have to pull out down the shaft to separate the head and make sure that the penis doesn't, you don't want it to reattach. So that's what we're doing right now. I'm literally like, I'm cleaning off a tiny penis.
But the foreskin's gone, so you don't have to.
The foreskin's gone, but then you have the
balls.
Shaft. Baby balls. He's got it all.
He's the whole package.
He's got everything.
My sister always said that when she cleans my nephew, sometimes his penis springs up and pees on her.
Oh yeah, I love getting peed on.
Yep.
I used to like getting peed on, but now I'm just
it's a whole different thing.
That my old life was like a lot of dicks, but like in a they were a little bit bigger than my son.
It'll grow. Are you romanticizing pre-having a baby, do you think?
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Oh my God, just wake up. Just like, I romanticize pre-corona. I'm like, make out with a stranger. No.
I romanticize pre-corona too, and also I've been romanticizing what would happen if we weren't in corona, but then I know I'm romanticizing it. I'll be like, that's not fucking true. You were going into that shit pile fast, and then corona happened, so I can't really blame. Why is everything such a mess right now?
It's levels and levels.
Yeah, there's levels and levels.
You have to like peel back shit. It's mind-blowing.
Well, it was a bright spot listening to your album.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Back when you could go to San Francisco and record an album.
And you also recorded an hour recently too, right?
Yeah, I was 6 weeks postpartum. And by the way, right before preparing for a special is stressful, but I basically had no preparation other than 5 Zoom shows that I set up. 5 Zoom shows that I set up. That I was like, hey friends, you want to watch me in front of my laptop for an hour? And they're like,
doing the whole hour?
Just, hey, because I had to do it. I was basically just, hey guys, thank you. I am going to now talk for an hour, and you guys are going to listen. And they did, because they're my friends.
Right.
Like one night, I just did Noah has 2 sisters. My husband has 2 sisters, and they watched me do my hour.
Wow.
And that's what I had to do, because I really needed people that would listen to me, because comedy is about like feedback, and it's never going to be as good as real feedback. But that's what I had, and I just made it happen, and I pretended like it was a play. And I'm going to memorize my lines, and this is a play.
Could you get feedback from them? Did you feel like you could?
On Zoom, a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was moments where I was like, okay, they got that. Okay.
I couldn't imagine doing an hour on Zoom, because I've done a bunch of Zoom shows, but I haven't done an hour. But I guess if you had something to prepare for, then that's like pushing you through to do it.
I stood up, by the way.
Good.
That's good. Because I hadn't stood up. So I was like, can I stand?
Right. How do these legs work?
I just had a baby, so I was like, can I actually stand for an hour? And right before we went, I was crying to my husband, and I was like, no one should ever have to be on camera 6 weeks after they give birth. This is cruel. And then I did it, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad I just got it over with.
Able to perform leading up to giving birth too? Like, how far into the pregnancy were you doing shows?
It was Corona, so no.
Oh, right. What was it like when you were performing to the cars?
Let me tell you, the luxury cars were harder than so they mic'd up the cars, some of the cars, and then they played that feedback while I was on stage. It was like the coolest thing ever, because I could hear laughter.
Oh, that's great. And it wasn't delayed?
No. It was so cool. And then like some cars were like honking and flashing their lights, and it worked really well. And then when I saw the footage, I was like, oh my God, this is cool.
That's
and
awesome.
Like, drone goes out and you can see all the cars, and it's at the Rose Bowl, which apparently it's a big sports venue. I didn't.
Huge.
I was like, I love roses.
Is this where they make them at this bowl here? Is where you guys make all the roses?
I love roses.
Love Roses. So happy to be in their home. I don't know what sports are played there, but I know a lot of sports are played there.
Yeah, apparently it's a stadium. I don't know, but the rose bushes are gorgeous.
Were you able to feel like after you did it, did it feel totally different from when you did your album?
Oh, no, it was the same feeling of done.
Right.
It's like that excitement of, it's like you want to record something, you want to do something, you want to do that late night, and then the day before is you're stressed and you're like running the same joke in your head and you're nervous. Oh, but the one really exciting part, both my album and the special, I did one and done. I didn't do
Really? Good for you.
I just put that, to be perfectly honest, I was scared that I couldn't sell out the Punchline 2 nights in a row, but I knew I could fill it, but I didn't know I could sell it out. And I was like, what if I have like light show at 7 and light show at 9? I'm like, I just want to sell out 9 o'clock. And so I only did one because I was like,
Smart.
I just want to put all my eggs in this basket.
Right.
And like, better fucking get it done. And that's the kind of pressure that I like thrive in, I think. And then for the special, it was one and done. And
they had a built-in audience too, so you didn't have to. They were just doing that like for everybody.
Yeah, exactly. And they Comedy Dynamics did, and Tribeca did a good job like promoting it and making it a thing. And then when I got there, it was just like 200 cars, but I could only see a couple of cars. I was just like, I could only see a couple rows of cars.
I feel like all those, Esther and I used to do open mics together at Eastville Comedy Club. All of those, that type of thing, then makes this, because it can't be worse than performing for 2 comics that you can't hear.
The training I've done by doing like Kibitz Room even. Sometimes the Kibitz Room is really fun, but ran that show. It's still going? Nothing's going.
Right.
The last show for Kibitz Room was like March 17th or something like right when the shit hit the fan. And I told, like, my co-producers, I was like, I think we should be responsible and cancel the show. Like thinking it was going to be like 3 weeks.
Right.
We all quarantine.
We'll be back.
And we'll come back. I think it's responsible if we just take this night off.
Yeah, this one night. And then you'd be like, bye, never see you again ever. Fuck.
And hopefully Canner's Deli will exist in 2025 when we get our vaccine.
If I just knew how long I was going to be locked down for, I'd feel so much less stress.
I would have moved. I'm in Brooklyn.
Right.
Why am I in Brooklyn?
I'm supposed to go to New Orleans, and I'm scared out of my mind because my lease is up in LA, and I don't want to go to New Orleans. It's where my girlfriend she's a house, she Airbnb's out. I'm like, I don't want to leave and then feel like I'm leaving LA or New York because I couldn't like hack it. But it's like you said, what's Corona and what's other stuff?
Well, if you're working digitally,
doesn't matter where you are.
Why am I in fucking Williamsburg?
New York has some live shows though.
I'm doing a live show tonight.
Right. That
I'm not allowed to talk about.
Right, exactly.
I was told that I am not allowed. Can you keep a secret? And I was like,
excuse me?
I don't remember the last time I was keeping a secret, but I'm pretty sure I can. I've never had, it's been so long since it's like, you want to do a show? Listen, don't say a fucking word or I'll kill you.
Also, why? The only reason like we couldn't say a word is like, what, do you not want other people knowing I'm doing it? Is it going to bring the show?
Could get shut down.
Of course,
Cuomo,
yeah.
Daddy Cuomo,
right?
Come in and be like, time for bed.
People think he's so hot.
He's hot because he has a head on his shoulder.
Yes, he does, and he cares.
Everyone else is a fucking bozo the clown, bimbo, idiot, being like, we need to have worldwide wrestling. And everyone else is, Cuomo was in charge. He's just like a strict zaddy who wants to pin you against the wall and be like, it's time for bed.
He is. I wonder if daddy porn has like gone up in New York since he's been,
Everyone just wants Cuomo to bend them over and spank them.
Everybody, me included.
Be like, spank, wear your mask. And we're like, okay, I'm sorry.
There has to be some kind of Cuomo porn. I haven't searched for it, but there's got to be something.
I want to like do a play, like an online play where I play like Cuomo and his brother, and we're just like the Zoom chats between the two of them, being like, the day I had.
Oh, that would be funny, actually.
Yeah, I know.
That would be really funny.
If only I could play like a cute Italian in a in a button-down golf shirt.
You'd have to do something to your chest and your hair.
And he also has like pokey nipples too.
And he's a guy, too. Those things combined.
I think I can do it. I've been doing a lot of acting recently.
I wanted to ask, what were you like as a kid? Like when you, because Esther's dad was trying to be a stand-up. When did you become aware that he had been trying to do that? Did he keep it from you and then you found out, or did he tell you about it when you were little?
Not at all. Like, I was born and I was the third. He had this like comedy career, tried to go to LA.
He really went for it.
Yeah, he went and he did like local stand-up stuff. He was part owner of a comedy club in like the late 80s.
Wow. I didn't realize he went for it that much. Kind of kidding when you said it. I didn't realize it was like for real.
I think it was for real, but at the same time, like, I wasn't there either. Like, he was doing shows. Then he went to LA and he was doing shows. But while that was happening, he was also going to law school. He's like, you got your degree and all that shit while you're doing stand-up. I'm like, what?
Yeah, but not law school. I was going to school for media studies. I was like drunk and leaving and doing open mics all the time. So for me to pass, I had to put an ad up on Craigslist, and I had to buy someone to do one of my exams.
Which is like Media 101.
Yeah, so I deserve that fucking master's degree. But your dad, since he actually went past law school, he was probably studying harder than I was, let us pray.
Yeah, but he's like a robot. Like, studying for me or my, like, sisters, I feel is really intense. And studying for my dad, he's just, I don't know if it's photographic memory. Like, he's a bit of a robot, no emotions. He's just like, hello, I will now pass the bar exam and have 3 daughters that my wife will... Very 90s father, where it was just like work. But like, he stopped doing stand-up when I was born. My mom was like, okay, you're fucking done, you're out in the morning, whatever. But he was part owner of a comedy club, and the cool part about that is that he wasn't afraid to be behind the scenes and in front. I guess I sort of take after that, because I'm like, I produce a show and I'm into producing, and I've always been like, let's produce a show. So I'm not just a performer, I'm a producer. I'm booking and I'm hosting, and whatever he was doing, he filmed a couple of comedians and then put together like a variety show and then tried to sell it to the television network.
The television network, that is so 90s. I'm going to sell this to the television network.
It was so 90s, and they didn't like it.
What?
And they said, no, they're not good enough. Who was on the tape?
Who?
Sinbad, Jeff Foxworthy, some other guys. Larry the Cable Guy before he was Larry the Cable Guy.
Where was this comedy club?
In Tampa. It was called the Comedy Corner. And it used to be, it was like in the strip club area.
Sure. How did he know how to own part of a comedy club?
So, good question. Apparently, there was 2 guys. So he's doing comedy, knew everyone in comedy.
He's staying in the same area, or like he's...
It's all Tampa. It was like the boom where there was like 3 comedy clubs in like 1 square block. Like,
Esther doesn't speak highly of...
Tampa, that trash fire of a place. That piece of shit town called Tampa, which I love.
I like Tampa too. I mean, I've stayed there a maximum of like probably 6 nights, but I like Florida.
It's simultaneously the best place and the most horrible, most disgusting place. Because if someone was like, say something nice, I could go there. And if they talk some shit, I'm like,
got it.
Abusive boyfriend that you're like, oh, I fucking love him. But
totally.
New York's the same way.
It really is.
Different, because you love it for the opposite reason. You love Tampa and you hate it for the opposite. Yeah. And then, so I don't know what he was doing, like performing around Florida and stuff. And then 2 guys owned a club. They had some issues with the contracts and issues with legal stuff. My dad was basically like, if I can be a part owner and like host and do stuff, like I'll do all your legal stuff.
Smart.
Sometimes I talk to him about it, and I don't know if he's trying to keep it a secret, but I don't know, something about parents where they just make everything like before you were born, just, I did that. I'm like, wait.
100%. That's what, totally. And you have to get your info from the other parent, but I don't know if parents that are together do that. Because from my
uncles will
right,
start being like,
right.
They did drugs. What do you mean they did?
Yeah.
drugs?
I remember my mom being like, well, you know, your father was kicked out of college. That's why he went there. And the reason he was in Maine was because he was trying to escape from his parents who thought he was owning a drug farm, which he might have been. And then I asked my dad, and he's like, mom makes things up. And then you're like, wait, what? And I'm like, yes, before you were born. I wonder if you're going to be like that.
That's the good question. I'm doing all these jokes about my kid, and I'm just like, what do I tell him? He was in an open relationship for a minute.
Which I'm going to assume, everyone's going to assume their parents did some stuff, but he's going to have proof.
I didn't do enough stuff. I look back and I'm like, could have fucked.
So much easier to say from the security of a relationship, because the second you're out of that security, it's not, like I was in LA with my girlfriend, and I was picturing, once I'm in New York, packing up my apartment, I can be as messy as I want, I don't have to deal with what are we going to have for dinner, do all that stuff. I've been here, Esther, it's been a goddamn disaster. I've only been here for 6 days. It's so messy. I've been quarantining. New York, but my lease is up in my apartment. So I was looking forward to being by myself, which is great, but it's always easier to visualize because it's so bad that if you came in, you'd be like, oh, there's like a mental health problem. I've cleaned it up a little bit. It's not good. So maybe if you did those things, you would have been really depressed. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Same with the kid. The kid keeps me feeling like I did something.
And he's so cute.
He's really cute.
He's really cute. And you did do something. Having a kid is like a big fucking thing. It's probably one of the most beautiful things you could do. Like literally made a human.
I did a lot more.
It's a collaboration though.
You're right. I couldn't do it on my own. Although when the hospital, the funniest thing is that for a while, the hospital for coronavirus, they were like, so you can't do no partners. And I was just in my head, I was like, so they don't really do much, dude.
Right away, you're just glaring at him. He couldn't be there? I didn't even think about that.
Wow. You're useless.
Did you resent him?
No, he came to the hospital and he got to be with me.
Good.
And I'm so glad he was there, and he's such a good father, and he's like the best man in the whole wide world, but the bar is low.
Listen, but I was trying to think about, we don't know what we would be like if we were a guy. You know what I'm saying?
I would be like, gotta do man stuff.
You'd be like tall, dark, and handsome, and like really good with women.
I will know what I'm gonna be like as a guy because I'm raising myself. Like I look at him and he looks just like me, and he's like giggly and he needs a lot of attention, and I'm just like, really? How much attention can one kid need? And he's already starting to talk, and I'm like, oh god.
How's he already starting to talk? Isn't he like 5-6 months old?
Talking. He looks me in the eyes and he goes, and I'm like, but I want him to feel like he's talking to me, so I'm like responsive. I'm not like, can you hurry up with the story? Jesus.
Yes, because you need to make him feel like validated. You're like, I listen to you and I will respond to you, and you're not going to be fucked up.
Yes. And I'm like, and yeah, I don't know.
Did you take like mommy classes? Like, where did you learn? How'd you get prepared?
I took how to take care of the newborn class.
Good job.
It was like 2 whole days on Zoom. Oh no, that was in real life. And then I took like 2 whole days on Zoom for the birthing stuff, which was useless because I ended up having to have a C-section, which sucked.
I'm sorry. What happened?
I wanted a natural birth so bad.
With no pills?
No, just like, when I say natural, I should clarify.
You mean out the vagina?
I wanted it to come out of my pussy. I wanted my pussy to be shredded. And instead, my pussy's intact. Perfect.
I feel like that's what I would have rather, because when they take it out of your stomach, don't they knock you out? Totally?
No, you're awake. You don't know?
No.
You're awake, but you're pretty numb. But you feel like tugging and pulling. But what they're doing is they slice you open. They slice your uterus open.
God damn it.
They pull out the baby, and they're literally like taking out organs, putting organs back.
They don't take out an organ.
I think they take out your organs.
Seriously?
They have to move shit around. So they took out the baby after 38 hours of trying to push this guy. I wasn't trying to push. They give you a bunch of drugs I was 1 week past due.
Right.
And they give you like Pitocin and all these like fun drugs to try to induce and do contractions. Contractions just are like, contractions are the same thing as when you're at a coffee shop and it's closing and they crank up like rock music so that you leave. Right. Or a nightclub where they turn on the lights.
Sure.
And they're like, get out.
Right.
Contractions are like, get out. And he wasn't leaving. And
he's like, I want to refill this cup.
we have to call the cops, and that's the C-section. And they just like, yeah, he's one more drink, and I was like, last call was a week ago.
Right.
And then they had to cut him out, and as they held him and they weighed him, he's 9.5 pounds. No wonder he wasn't coming out. And I was like, you guys couldn't tell me that earlier?
Right. Yeah, can't they see how big he is from the pictures?
What about my pictures? I was enormous, and I was like, he's huge. He's huge.
Because then you would have known what was going on.
He was so big, and I was like, I can't complain because the opposite is small, unhealthy,
Sure.
LCU. Like, so I have to just be like, it could be so much worse. Everything with the kid, like, he's such a good kid, but like, he's still a child. You still have to like cater to everything.
He's a baby.
Yeah, he's a good baby.
He's a baby. Did you get I was gonna not postpartum. What's the like mood swings?
Depression. Yeah. So right after I was emotional all over the place. But I was also breastfeeding, and I had a great deal of struggle. I don't know anyone who doesn't have struggle. It's the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It's painful. It hurts. The baby's crying. Hormones are all over the place. You feel like shit. I was recovering from major surgery while
what does it feel like?
Newborn.
What does it feel like with the hormones? Is it comparable at all to like awful PMS, or is it like a whole other level?
It's a whole other level, but yeah, absolutely. I'm sure that some people's periods are worse than what I experienced. And who knows about? I don't know. It was like it just sucked, but and it still sucks because you're still trying to find yourself.
Yes.
So I'm like, who is Ester Steinberg Garden Swords? I know I've added a last name to my name. I've added a baby to my responsibilities.
I know,
and
that's
now I'm
crazy.
like, I just feel like sometimes I feel like I'm third priority because I'm like, I'm a partner and he's very important and his needs are important. And then the baby is obviously number one. So
Right.
then when do I get to exist? And sometimes I'm like, I just want to go out and do stuff. I can't go out. So is this corona or is it just life? I don't know.
Especially with going through such big changes in it. That I never thought of that.
Isn't it a good time to be like raising it? Sometimes I'm like, it's just a good time to be raising a kid because what if I was getting FOMO? Like I'm on social media and everyone's doing this and everyone's doing that and everyone's going here. And I'm like, what am I doing? I'm stuck at home with a baby. So
Right.
it's like, it's just, there's so much crazy shit going on. And then you add this and I'm like, it's not, and then, yeah. So the one thing I'm cognizant of and I'm afraid to do like, in terms of raising him is I don't, my body fell apart. It just looks so bad. But anyways.
Does it? Because you had such a high stand. You had such. I remember one time. I remember after being with you in Houston, I was drinking lemon water for like 4 months. Like I was doing hot water and lemon. Because I remember you talking about that. There was
Really good. You have to start your day with hot water and lemon. You get your green smoothie, which I
Yes.
still have. And
I didn't do it 4 months. I did it 2 weeks, but I did it like twice. But you inspired it. Oh, you're back. So what happened to your body? Great, you're glowing.
My face nothing happened to my face and nothing happened to my pussy, but I used to have, so this is like a lot of information, but I gained like, I won't even do the math on the weight.
You know what I'm saying? You're like, what's it gonna do? You're
So great. So I became enormous and I had an enormous kid and now I don't know what's going on. I'm like, there's pain in my body. It's all hurts. The shoulders were killing me because of the breastfeeding, and then my tits were like hurting so bad, and they were always wet and leaking. Everything was like sticky and wet and leaky, and I was like, fuck my life. And then I decided to remove myself from breastfeeding, so I'm like a week out of breastfeeding, and now I'm like, how do I get my life back and my body back? And it's not going to happen. I'll never look the same. So I've got this big old scar, which I don't even care about. I got a scar. Scars are cool.
Scars are cool. You could put some vitamin E oil on that shit. You know what I mean?
But scars are badass, so we got the scar.
Maybe that part of the scar could like help get like colleges or something, because you could be like, I'm scarred or something. You could do like a thing about it. Maybe.
I'm more popular on social media because of my belly and my scars. Having a rock solid body does not get you likes, really. From me, having a rock solid body got me. I guess I could get a couple of likes from men, but I don't think men follow me anymore. So having like rolls and scars is really where it's at. It's the more I post my rolls and my scars, the more people I think like me.
I think actually it's maybe because maybe because that was part of something you were posting was being, so it's making you more relatable then too.
Sure.
So in a way, so it's like also like if if there was no transformation, people wouldn't. It's even more likable that there was. Do you know what I'm saying?
People love change.
People fucking love change. They love change. They love to come up. They love to come down. And I always say, if you fuck up,
Now you're not. We love it.
and then you get to find, you need to go to rehab. You get a couple outs. Find God. Go to rehab. Let everyone know about the time you were molested. Not you, but like one.
I'm going to wait for a dip in my career before I talk about the time I was molested. I'm going to milk what I have right now, which is rolls and scars.
Maybe we should. Maybe I'll get into like disaster PR if comedy can't work out. Do you know what I mean? Because like I feel very comfortable with that. You know what I mean? Like you have a drug problem and you're going to find God, and then that's at least a book.
So when you get like big and fat and pregnant and there's no one really to help me, I guess I could go to a physical therapist. That's on my to-do list.
My sister literally became a personal trainer for women who just gave birth. That's literally what she does now.
That's the kind of person I need in my life.
Yeah, she's on Zoom. She does Zoom ones, postnatal workouts.
That's what I need. So basically, I think the abdomen separate, and it's like a whole fancy scientific word. So the abs separate, and 90% of women have this. And then they are like, oh, if you can fit a finger in your belly button, then they're separated. Then you need to wait for it or figure out how to. I don't know. And then the rolls. I'm just flabby. But for a little bit, my titties were
Huge.
enormous.
How'd that feel?
I did not mind it, and I did a sexy photo shoot with my tit. It was like I did a sexy photo shoot for Penthouse before I got pregnant.
You did?
Yes, and I'd use the same, I don't know, negligee, like lacy. It
Yes.
like a lacy Beyonce onesie.
Yes.
I don't wear these things except if I'm being photographed.
Sure.
So I wore it at Penthouse, but I didn't have any tits. Everything was just like very fit and skinny.
Did you work out extra because you knew about the shoot?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How did the shoot come about?
A friend of mine was a photographer, and I've always been like more on the exhibitionist side. I love like being in a bikini or being like free and naked. Let's take pictures. And so I decided before I get married, and she was also working with Penthouse, and this was my friend Lindsay Burns, who's like the OG. Love her. Met her when I was doing Funny Girls on Oxygen, and now she's like a staple part of my life. Invited to my wedding, didn't come, so you're in a club with her.
She didn't? Was she doing a show about moose poop too?
She was doing a moose poop photography.
When I ran into Noah at the cellar and he was like, so what were you doing? And I was like, because at first I didn't want to take the moose poop show, and then I was like, I'm not really in a position to be saying no to stuff. And it was literally, it's a reality show, so that's one thing. And it's about moose poop, so that's another thing. So it was like a reality show about moose poop, and he was like, oh, what? And then someone else said something, and I was like, I'm just owning it. Yeah. So she wasn't there. She was doing her photo shoot about moose poop.
Exactly. She's so cool, and she did it with me, so it wasn't just like some guy that was like, let's get your nipples really hard. It was a friend, like one of my very close friends, and we were doing tasteful nude things, and it was all about my comedy and stuff. So
Vagina?
I actually talk about it in my special a little bit, where I didn't want to show my nipples, my pussy, or my asshole, because I was like, that's for my child. I'm saving those for my kid. But yeah, I'm like behind a curtain, and I'm like naked behind. And when I was really little, I was like middle school, high school, I really liked Playboy.
Huh.
I liked like naked women.
Interesting. I've heard a lot of women say that too. But I like looking at naked men. Like I love looking at men's like upper body and their their torsos. I always think it's like really like interesting and cool because the human body is amazing. So then if you're not also looking at it from like the same, I don't know. It's just interesting. I always like looking at men's the top part, the torso
Like
part.
David Beckham in his underwear, really nice to look at.
Yeah, I agree.
The majority of men in their underwear, it's like, no,
But-
put your basketball jersey on.
Go back to this. Yeah, I like looking at I just think it's like neat. Although I never saw like a play girl, I don't think.
Pretty much any woman naked is interesting to look at.
Yeah, it's interesting to look at. Sometimes I'll be like, oof. But
I like to look at it. It depends on the context, totally.
And I knew that my body, like, I knew I was gonna get married. I kind of knew I was gonna have a kid, and then I was like, okay, so I'll just take sexy photos and celebrate my body before it gets ruined. And I used to like, be funny and be like, before my body gets ruined, I'll take these pictures. And now I'm like, yeah, no, my body's ruined. It's not going back.
And Noah was totally cool with it?
I gave him a child. Like, you can't expect anything other than that from me.
That's the deal.
I'm attempting to do a workout here and there, and then my body like is killing me. It's not things that are going on with me. It's not just let me just go for a run and lose weight. No, the back is hurting in this way and that way, and I don't know if I'm doing something wrong. And I'm recovering from major surgery, so I don't even know what I can do and what I can't do. What I do know is it's on my to-do list is go see help and chiropractor and this and that. But what I'm doing right now is absolutely fucking nothing.
Amen, sister.
I'm on a diet, but I follow Kimberly Snyder.
Oh, you're
same woman. She's incredible, and she like evolves and morphs into a cooler person every book, every podcast.
Sure.
It's awesome. And it's just like the green smoothies and eating real food. I don't really mix that great with meat. It's tasty, and I went full vegan, and now I'm like, if I have cheese, it's not the worst thing in the world, but eating greens and vegetables and grains,
you'll feel better. Do you feel like the things that you worried about changed after you have a kid? Like, because I know performers, we can be always just like thinking about ourselves. So I wonder what it would be like when you have a kid. Have your anxieties shifted?
Sure. Like, I can't leave the house without this part of my brain being like, is he okay?
Mm-hmm.
I don't even leave my house because of fucking Corona. But
right.
It's all about him. It's all about him. But I will say, I hate this part about myself, but I was never self-conscious about my body, and I was never like mad about the clothes that don't fit me. And now I'm trying to put on pants, and they're just so, it feels like it feels like I'll never fit into my clothes again.
Fluctuations before?
Never. I've never had issues like this, and now here I am, and guess what? I'm not the only one, and there's people out there that can't fit into their jeans, and I feel that, and it's depressing, but I'm now, like, I need to get over my size 0 anymore. Okay,
right.
I'm not size 0 anymore. And I'm not size 2 anymore, or 4, or 6.
Great. And it's all about how you feel, too, because it's all relative. You know what I'm saying? Because, like, someone could be like, I've been a size 25 my whole life. I'd love to be a size 8. But it's how you feel.
Yeah, I was size 2, maybe at my very heaviest, maybe 4. Now, and it's different. And people, sometimes I say that to people, and they're like, I believe in you. You can work out, and you can get better. And I'm like, sure. But right now, I'm working on loving my body the way it is.
Yep.
It's that balance of, sure, I'm on a diet, I'm on a journey, I'm gonna try to...
Crystals in the air.
Let's hope that one day my body will go back.
But if you know what it is? It's you give birth, and then you have a rebirth of you, too. So maybe it could be even better. We don't even know. We really don't even know.
There's moments where I'm like, you know what, I feel fine, I feel good, and then there's moments where I'm like, I don't even recognize my body. I hate myself. And so I'm trying to, you know what I'm doing? I'm putting it all out there. And I'm taking pictures. I'll put it on my Facebook or my Instagram and be like, this is what my body looks like. Because I had a baby. Yeah. What's your excuse, fatso? Like, I have stretch marks. I have cellulite. I have C-section scar. I have, like, flab that... loose skin. I've got it all. You name it, I got it.
I got that.
My baby's so cute.
He's so cute.
Adorable. And then I'm just like, that's the trade-off. There you go.
This is what you get. This is what you pay. This is what you get.
Sexy, teeny, tiny, itty-bitty waist. And then you trade in and get, like, the cutest
baby. Do you feel like your dad resented your mom for making him quit comedy, or do you think he was, like, relieved?
Maybe relieved, like, it wasn't going to happen. I don't think he was quite in it to win it, because even when I talk about it, it sounds like he was producing shows to then try to sell it. Like, he didn't put himself on that show. He was all that great. I think that he loved it. I think he loved comedy and then tried to do it and was good, and he could hold a crowd, but I think his passion for comedy surpassed his passion for performing comedy.
I get that. Also, if you can make yourself go to law school, there are comedians that went to law school and then stopped. But,
Mark?
and who was it? He died of heroin overdose. You know who I'm talking about? Died of heroin. He was really famous a couple years ago. Oh, what the fuck was his name? He was a good-looking guy. No, famouser than that. The guy, he looks like Anthony DeVito a little bit. Greg.
I'm going to say someone who's alive and well and doing heroin. So,
Who?
when he was doing heroin, he died. I'm like,
I know a guy that was doing it and he's alive. It's a guy, no, he died. Greg Giraldo.
oh, yeah.
Yeah. But he went to law school.
Yeah, but my dad was going to be a lawyer. And then I think, so he saw that I, like, loved being funny at the table. And it was obviously because everyone else was cuckoo and fighting. And I was like, here's a joke. So now looking back, I'm like, oh, yeah, everyone was fighting and it was awkward and I made it funny.
Your parents were
Fighting.
Were they fighting like they really didn't like each other, or were they fighting like they were kvetching?
All of it. My mom would, like, yell at my dad, hey, you didn't do this. And then my dad's just like, what? Oh, okay. And then he was more like, avoid the problem. And then my sisters were like, overload hormones and they were bickering with my mom and bickering with my dad. And I was also like, I don't know. I'm not going to say I was like an angel child, but I was like,
You were the peacekeeper.
yes, absolutely. And I was just like, what about this joke? What about that joke? Hey, you guys think this is funny? What about this? And I was just like, how many tricks up my sleeve can I pull off in order to like have a peaceful dinner?
I get that. It's such a coping mechanism. So your dad must have been clocking it. So it wasn't like, I was almost picturing like you saying you want to be a comedian, he'd almost be like, no, don't do it. Because that's how I would feel, I think, if my niece said she wanted to be entertainment, I'd be like, no. So you didn't feel like you had to.
I don't want to hold a microphone.
I get it. I even said that about sexuality. Like, my niece was doing something, and I was like, oh, I just hope she doesn't come out to be gay. And someone was like, what? And I was like, I don't know. Like, I just hope that she's straight, just because it's a little bit easier. But I think, well, look, the grass is always greener. So I know people that are like, oh, I just wish I could be gay. And then I'll be like, no, like, whoever you date and are attracted to, there's going to then be problems with that. But I feel like being straight's just a little bit easier, because then you don't have to deal with. Now it's like different, but it just seems like easier. And you've got more people are straight. You've got more people to choose from.
But women move in faster.
Ugh, that sucks. I hate that part.
There's probably an understanding that I'll never get.
I don't know. Because you know what it is? I don't know about that. Because it's maybe I can only speak from my gay experience, and in my gay experience, I'm involved. And I'm so, like, traditionally, like, a quote-unquote what is associated with a guy, that I've had a lot of women I've been with be like, you're just like a guy. And they don't mean that's not a compliment. So maybe if you're, like, other, like, lesbian couples, like, if there was, like, my girlfriend's now is named Ashley. If there's two Ashleys, yeah, they would be so understanding and wonderful. But would two Ashleys date each other? That I can't say. Maybe if you were with women, you'd be with, like, an emotionally unavailable type. Well, in your album, you said you like the ones with little Tampa ones with short shorts.
I like a trashy blonde.
Hello, but
I like kind of a dumb blonde, trashy, like tattoos and piercings. And
see, I bet there wouldn't be. I bet Noah's infinitely more understanding than, because you're both comedians.
Yeah.
Like, that's more of a bond than, you know what I'm saying? A comedian's gonna understand another comedian in a way.
He's got two older sisters. I have two older sisters. We're both, like, raised Jewish, went our own individual way of. He actually seems, I don't know if I've ever said this, but he's very involved in, like, the black community, and he just, that's his absolute, I don't know, in his core, like, he just gravitates towards that and the justice fight and all that. And I'm like 100% there, but my heart and soul is also very connected to the LGBT community. I can't help it. And I've been that way since I was like a little kid. I remember I gravitated towards that community. It just feels like my community. Maybe it's the theater. Maybe it's like it was the theater kids in Tampa. It was
feeling like an outsider.
Maybe it was just like, I like theater, you like theater, and it happened to be two gay men and me and one other, like, annoying Jewish girl. Like, people that I It was my people.
Because you went to a Hebrew school, but before that, was it you were in the minority?
I went to Hebrew school, but I still was in Tampa. So it's imagine just being surrounded by Christmas trees and being like, it's not like Brooklyn where everyone's Orthodox and sweating through their hats.
I almost said thingies, which would have been totally problematic. I take that. I was like, they're sweating through their thingies, but I stopped myself, but I still said I was thinking of saying it.
The curly sideburns. Like, it wasn't like that.
Right.
It was Tampa.
Why'd your parents move to Tampa?
One grandparent was
Okay.
Their family was driving down from Chicago. Car broke down on the way to Miami.
And just ended up in Tampa?
Ended up in Tampa.
Wow.
My grandpa, he got a baseball scholarship from New Jersey. He got a scholarship to go to University of Tampa
That makes sense.
for baseball.
Why he would be there.
And then my mom's from Israel, so that just doesn't make any sense.
But she met your dad in Tampa, or she met him before they were in
Yeah,
Tampa?
they met at a bar, and they
Wow.
were engaged after 3 weeks. She gave him an ultimatum.
Your mom is pushy.
She's like, I'm going to go unless you want to give me a commitment. And he was like, yeah, you're my girlfriend. She's like, that's not a commitment.
She's pushy.
Yeah.
But she gets what she wants then.
Absolutely. My mom is she is Wonder Woman in my eyes. Like, she was an engineer before female engineers
Wow.
pretty much existed. She came from another country. She got her GED, got into college, like by accident, dated a guy that kind of was like, you're smart, you should, go to school. So she's like, yeah, maybe. Chemical engineer, and worked her ass off and then raised 3 daughters with a husband who was doing comedy.
Was she mad when you said you wanted to do comedy?
No, my parents were super supportive and my dad pushed it on me. So when I was really little, I was like, I want to be an actress. And my dad was like, you want to be an actress? You got to do stand-up. And then he started to give me examples of comedians that were acting. So Steve Harvey, Tim Allen. And I was like, oh my God, you're right. In order to be an actor, you have to be
Did you fall in love with it, or was it just, no, I gotta be an actress?
I fell in love with comedy because whenever I auditioned, like in school, or I did community theater, I really get 1-line part.
Right.
2 lines. 1 line, 2 line, that's it. So I never really got to do, I always 2 lines until the monologue competition at like theater school.
Oh,
Then
shit.
I was like, I got these monologues because
Right.
I wasn't just playing like the maid that was like, can I get you a drink? Like, I got to
Nailed
be
it.
an actress. But then the monologues were so fun. But again, that's me on stage talking to.
How'd you deal with the rejection? Because it's just so hard. Like, I would think in high school it would be even harder, because high school already is a lot of rejection, and then this rejection from auditions is just it's so tough because you only get to do it when you're in that audition. It's not like with stand-up we get to go retry and retry. It's like the audition's over. It's done.
Rejection just sucks, but I mean,
Sucks.
it's like, I mean, I'm so numb. Gotten a trillion no's, and I've gotten like a couple of yeses. But thank God I didn't get a bunch of yeses. They don't develop, they don't grow, they don't get better. They just get yeses, and then I'm making fun of them because I hate people who've gotten yeses. Fuck the yes. No.
It's such a coping mechanism. I say the same thing too. I'm like, yeah, they don't have any character. But then if I was given the option, I'd be like, I'll trade some of this character I got for a little bit of that. But
So much.
we get some character for sale. Like,
I'm humbling. It's humbling. I'm humble.
Yeah.
What if I was like a cocky monster? I just don't think anyone would like me. Not that anyone likes me now. I think I've only gotten like horribly rejected so many times, but that's entertainment, and maybe that's what makes you stronger.
how would you deal with it when you were in high school? Were you just, no, I don't care, this is what I want to do? Or what would you do?
I was like doing stand-up. So stand-up, there are no no's. I'm performing. I'm producing. I'm going to make you laugh. You can't say no to me. There's no rejection in stand-up because you're making people laugh. Unless you bomb. And I worked really hard so I didn't bomb.
There's no's when it's, okay, we don't want your special, or we're not going to give it to you, we're going to give it to this fuckwad.
And I've gotten a million no's. Comedy Central just no.
Oh, no. Oh, there goes.
It just decided that I wasn't their it person, and
Oh, and the nose with Comedy Central is
You want to have a little class with your fucking nose. When you get a no from a hipster dweebus that just obviously wanted to do comedy but instead became an admin to try to get into entertainment and like still dabbles in improv, and is like a sniveling little fuck, it just makes it's like, why would we do a face-to-face no? So now I know what you're like. And condescending, cocky. I hate condescending and cocky, and every experience I've had with them, except for one kind of, is that.
And I don't want to shit on myself a lot, but I will say this. I'm not getting cast in things because the universe just didn't pan out. Maybe it's my nose.
You got your commercials.
I got a couple of Funny Girls, and I got on Mrs. Maisel, but what happened is I started writing, and so I have this pilot, and I have this thing, and I was in development with this other thing, and now I'm writing this movie, and I wrote this other movie, so if you want to see my writing, here it is. And then I wrote a 2-person, 1-woman show, and then we started touring it, and I made money, so it's, you didn't want to cast me in your play? I write my own fucking play. Like, I hate Lin-Manuel. Well, I'm not even going to go.
Because he didn't cast you?
No, I don't think he has a good voice. I think his writing is so good, but his performing is, of course, he's the lead in Hamilton. But
wow.
His writing is amazing. He's an inspiration in a way of just who was casting him. Okay, I'll write it myself.
Right.
It's annoying that's the route I had to take, that I couldn't just be like, someone waved their magic wand and I got cast in a bunch of things. Like, so be it. I'm the creator. I'm the producer. Here we go. This is who I am. Because I can. And then that's what happens. That's what happens with rejection. Where there's a woman, you get rejected, you write it yourself. Then you produce it yourself. That's just what you do, because that's... And
also, there's so few people that do get that magic wand. The thing is, it's just that we see them because by the very nature of it is visible. So there's
really hot people.
Right. Hot, or they've got a thing at the moment. Like, right, I was saying to someone the other day, they're like, oh, but, that person's gay, that's good. And I was like, yeah, but now you got to be gay plus. Gay plus, you got to limp. Gay plus, you're right. Gay plus, this. It's not, gay is no longer a talking point. Gay plus, you're transitioning. Gay is no more. It's got to be gay plus. You know what I'm saying?
No, I think you can just be gay.
I think you can just be gay, but that's not the talking point anymore. I remember feeling a bit, this is a new gay comedian. Now it's no, but that's good. It's progress, too.
And I think, oh boy, if I was, I like lesbian comedians.
And there are very few feminine lesbian comedians. You can just say you're a fan.
If you are a woman who likes women, you are automatically, on stage doing comedy. It's just infinitely funnier than everyone else. And that's
what?
Not that they get more opportunities. I'll say it right now. Julie Goldman.
Oh, she's so funny.
Is there anyone?
She's so funny. Yeah, she is really funny.
And where's her specials?
She's very lots of gay material. And it's hilarious. For an hour, I wonder if it would be a lot, but she's so funny. You'd be into it? Actually, it's not all gay. She does a lot of stuff. And she's such a performer, too. She's funny.
The list goes on. She's one of a million. But I'm not saying, lesbian comedians are gonna have it easier. I'm saying I personally gravitate towards comedians. And boy, oh boy, a lesbian gets on stage and I just feel hurt. I'm I feel seen. And
also, Esther's not just saying that because she's talking to me. She said this before, so she's not just saying this because of the audience.
And you know what? If anyone even remotely is just, maybe she's just trying to pander, no, check my phone book. I feel seen in that community, whatever. And it is what it is. So with what I was going to say, you were like, blah, blah, you don't want to talk about all lesbian stuff, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, look, I want to hear about it. I want to, if you're a mom talking about a mom shit, lean in, talk about it for an hour if it's funny.
I agree with that.
Julie could talk about...
You're right. It's probably internalized homophobia on my part that I'm even thinking that. Because, yeah, for a mom or anything, I'd be like, oh, yeah, if you just make it unique to you.
Maybe an executive or someone could be watching and being like, I think that comedy should be 1/3 and 1/3 about the hometown.
Right.
And 1/3 about your father.
Right.
Thanks, executive.
Right.
But I'm an artist and I'm a comedian and I've seen more shows than you have ever seen.
Could even imagine. Yeah.
I have a taste in stuff too. And especially I feel super confident in stand up that I'm like, oh, I put in 10,000 hours. I know it's good enough. Not good.
I forget you started that young.
Funny. If you're
Yeah.
not funny, you're not funny. And it doesn't matter if you're talking about being gay or being straight. You're not fucking funny.
Mm-hmm.
And the flip side, me and Noah sometimes will say so and so funny. Like Judy Gold's so funny she could read in the phone book.
It's true.
She's
It's
great.
true. She's funny, and she's also like a character that's engaging to watch. She's been, but she also has been really successful too as an actress. She's done a lot of stuff.
Absolutely. And I just read her book, so it's just like the list goes Jessica Kirson, on and on. It just doesn't stop. And I'm just like, as an audience member, if I'm sitting and watching something like a lesbian gets on stage, I'm just like, ugh. Like, I'm like, ugh.
Like you can relax.
And then there's certain people, like, just visually, they walk on stage and you're like, okay, let's
Right.
And then there's some people visually, and then sometimes a lesbian will get on stage, completely sucks, disappointing.
Right. You let down your people. And by your people, me, and I'm not gay, but you let me down.
Or a gay guy, because I love gay men. Some of them aren't funny.
Some of them?
Like,
What happened?
I was waiting for you to be hilarious.
And that's the worst then, too, if you can feel people rooting for you, and then they're like... What was it like the first time you met Eric? Eric is Esther's writing and filming partner.
Really, I met him my freshman year of college, and we were in this very intense acting school, but we didn't take it very seriously. Like, we were both silly in the very specific way, and he's just makes me laugh. He's so funny, and him and I are just like comedy soulmates, which is it's a fun thing.
So right away when you saw him in the class, were you like, we should collaborate sometime, or it just happened naturally?
Not even. I met him like at Welcome Week. There was a dance at Tisch, or I think the whole school did like a dance, like come to there's a beach ball, and it was like for the new students to like get to know each other.
Right.
And everyone was like nerdy and dorky and awkward, and me and him were like twerking and slaying and like being so sexual, and like I was like wringing out my hair and pretend like I was just like filthy and
Going for it.
It was what was making me laugh. Like I was being so myself as well. I was just being like gross, and we were laughing. I think that's what you're supposed to do in college.
Man, having a friend that long that you get to work with is such a beautiful thing. You know what I mean? That's so nice.
Yeah, it's cool. And like we were trying to do a short film together. We did a short film together about moving to LA called You've Changed. And they do mushrooms and end up in Joshua Tree, where it explains why people in LA changes, because they've been cloned, and the like real authentic version of themselves is like in the desert, and then the like fake LA version of them is like walking.
Have you seen that movie, You?
Yes.
Is it like that at all? Only like for LA and not a horror movie?
No, it's not like You.
It's a comedy?
Yeah, it's sci-fi comedy. But anyways, so while we were making this, we were like joking about the idea of trying to do a one-woman show. Like, we like to make fun of the form. So if people are just like, oh, this is my one-woman show and I'm taking it really seriously. And what if someone came on stage during your one-woman show to be like, hey, this is my one-woman show. And then they're like, excuse me, get off the stage. This is my stage. And they're like, no, I check the schedule. This is my show. And so we wrote out every single line of this show and like toured it. And it was basically like two people it was a double booking.
Was it so fun when you guys started to get traction with that?
Yeah, it was awesome. But the traction was JCCs were like booking us and gave us money. But we were like, we'll take anything. And
Absolutely.
Being rejected, you're
Yep.
like, oh, I'll take anything. And you're grateful.
Yes.
I'll do it at college. I'll do it at high school.
Yep.
I'm not precious.
Man, that should be the name. That would be a good name of a movie instead of Precious. I'm Not Precious, and it's just a bunch of beaten down actors being like,
student film, no pay, I'm there.
They said I had an audition. I hadn't had one in a really long time, and then and then they said they want to know if you can sing, and I was like, the honest answer is no. However, if there's any interest on their part at all, I will go to a monastery and devote myself to singing for 1 month, and embody that. It also was for a person that was overweight, so I said, and I will gain weight for the role. And then I said, no, I won't, because I was like, I'll get triggered from remembering being a fat kid, and I think I'll have a breakdown if I have to be like, but I mean really overweight. Like I think the character was probably like 180 pounds.
I was 177
Good for you.
in my belly.
That's amazing. Maybe whatever it would be. How much does Melissa McCarthy weigh?
I'll tell you what she weighs. It doesn't matter because she gets booked on everything.
I was like,
So many
true.
comedians that talk about that's the weight you have to be, a skeleton.
Right. There's really no rules with that. I was like, yeah, but I was like, yeah, I'll like fucking,
Willing to gain weight. That's now my new special skill.
I'll go there. I'll do it.
On the bottom, it's like willing to only eat donuts. I'm willing to gain weight for a part.
Yeah, I said I would, and I said I would try to learn how to sing. I was like, well, I can't fucking. Did you and Eric sing in the show?
Eric sang and I did stand up. So his journey, we like went through his journey and his life, and like he realized he wanted to sing when he got bar mitzvah. He's a twin, and his twin is silent, does not talk, and he's like a wet rag. And Eric is a flamboyant gay man. No.
What the fuck?
And so for his bar mitzvah, we set it up where I was his brother and just like standing there not talking. And he's like, Shima. Yeah, his brother was like, cool. And then his brother, when we did it in St. Louis, his hometown, which is where his brother lives, he proposed to his girlfriend the night of our show. And I was like, excuse me?
Yeah.
Like Eric is already double booked for his
Right.
show.
Right.
And then on top of that,
He's got to compete with that shit.
But his entire life is like, even in the show, it's like, all eyes were on me and my twin brother, but mostly me.
Yeah. Any birthday, he's sharing all his shit.
The day I was born, I shared top billing with my twin brother. Like, all of his life.
Good thing his brother wasn't like louder though, because then that would suck more. Because it's like, you know what I mean? At least he got to be the bigger personality with that.
I have two older sisters, and they take up a lot of space. Like, you don't have to be a twin.
True. That's true. That's true. Do you know when the special is going to come out?
No, I wish, but it was really cool.
They're going to try to crank it out soon, I think, because they, I bet, want the content, and I bet they want to have it while we're still locked down, so it, like, makes more sense. You know what I mean? That everyone's performing to Cars.
I love it, and I really, when I watched it, I was like, wow, they did a really good job. I'm very,
Oh, it's great you got to watch it, too.
I'm very impressed with the way they shot it. And
That's awesome. That's awesome.
I've never been impressed with anything. Production. Like, I'm okay, I'm sure, I'm saying when I watch a special, it's in a theater and then they film it. So
You're not thinking about the production of it.
I'm not that impressed other than, whoa, Mulaney.
That was awesome.
Like, he could, like, the sheer number of people that were there and the jokes were amazing.
Right. Or Dane Cook, Torgasm.
Yes.
Yeah.
In the round.
Right. That was cool.
There were so many that are really cool, but I'm saying, like, maybe it's more just, like, of myself. Like,
Yes.
I've never been part of a production that I was, like, impressed
Totally.
comedy-wise. And I just couldn't believe the camera work. They had a million cameras. And you know what? It was a time where Corona it's still very serious, but it was really intense at the time.
Right.
And everyone kept 6 feet apart, but you could tell every single person was like so happy to be working that day. By the grip, the guy that does the drones, the guy that's directing it, they were all just jazzed to be there, and it was a different attitude than the audio guy was like, all right, you gotta go there. People have really shitty attitudes that are just like, they're clocking in, they're just doing their thing, but that night, everyone was just
Jazzed.
so happy to be working, including me. And usually when you prepare for a special, you go on tour and you do an hour in every fucking...
You're tired of it, you're done with it.
And then you're like, I'm ready. And you're a little... I did it... Oh, and one of the jokes I told was a brand new joke that I had never ever said on stage ever, because I was like, I had an experience on the plane. My plane ride from New York to LA, I was like, I'm still a breastfeeding woman.
Sure.
And it's also a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't serve food. They didn't serve food on the airplane, and I was like starving beyond belief. I was hungry, and there was no food, and there was no food in the airport. There was no food on the plane. Now I'm at like 6 hours, no food. 6 weeks postpartum.
I'm not judging you.
And I'm pumping while I'm sitting on the plane, like making food from my boobies. I needed the nutrition. I just chugged my own breast milk, and I'm looking around, and there was probably a couple of guys that saw a woman pump and drink her own breast milk out of me.
A milk mustache, just
Like straight from the pump, untwist.
God
Like,
damn.
and then they came around with peanuts. As soon as I finished 6 ounces of breast milk, they were like, almonds or cheese?
oops.
So I talk about, that was like a brand new like little story that I had to my Instagram.
That's great.
Let's just do it. But it felt really good to be on stage. Are
Yeah.
you doing any stand-up?
I did a couple shows in Kansas City like 2 months ago. They were inside, and then I've done some outdoor shows, which one of them was really, the first one I did was really fun, the first outdoor one, and the second one was really uncomfortable because I didn't know where to make eye contact, and then the other one was okay, but it's the same thing where I'm like, oh man, I wish I had more new material, but that's how I always feel.
What
But
are you talking about? How you don't want to be talking about you don't want gay to dominate your conversation.
I'll talk about, no, but that would maybe be interesting. I was talking about being quarantined in Louisiana with my girlfriend, and that she's like in the closet to her family. And then
Wait, hold on. She's quarantined and in the closet?
yeah.
She's a shut-in.
Yeah, she's all the way in, and she's out of the closet in her real life, but not to her family. So I was like, it was curious how that was in Louisiana. And then I was trying to talk about, I don't know what the fuck I was trying to talk about. I really didn't write that much new stuff. My spirit hasn't felt the excitement around creating material like it used to when I was running around doing open mics.
I know, because that's part of the whole thing.
Right, and that's when you're in your rawest form, and then it gets beaten down. I'm so happy that maybe I should have a baby, Esther.
No. I don't recommend it to anyone. Here, I'll ruin your life for you.
Okay, I appreciate that. Well, where can people find you online so they can start following you and keep up to date with when the special comes out?
My Instagram, Ester.Steinberg, and my Twitter is Esther K, and I like Instagram a lot, and I post pictures of my fat, ugly body for everyone to feel better about.
You still look great.
Oh, but the transformation from good to horrible.
But you really still look great. You're probably getting body dysmorphia.
Absolutely. I
Yeah.
have so many body issues.
You should talk to my sister.
I'm the poster. I need her number. I'm now the poster child for body positivity, and I'm the poster child for body dysmorphia. Like, finally,
Perfect.
I finally found my voice.
If am I calling? Thank you.
I'm so genuinely in it to win the
Yeah.
body dysmorphia game.
Yeah, your ears perk up. Oh, but that's such a body dysmorphia is so relatable.
Thank you.
Thank you for doing the show. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Of course. It's Cybercorp.